So if you're here for an ROI discussion, I'm going to really disappoint you. I'm here to talk about how we use newsrooms and what a newsroom means for me. I'm not going to ask you guys to come out of here and build a newsroom in your organization. I'm looking at newsrooms as an approach, a different way of bringing people together. I'm going to talk about, after the newsroom, what it means to be successful with your content. There's going to be some tenets that are going to be coming out of a publisher's mindset, and then I'm going to talk about ROI. And it's going to be really surprising what you're going to hear from me on ROI. So the next slide, you're going to like this. I use a lot of, oh, I do that, right? The next slide, well, that's me, is I use a lot of big type because I'm getting a little older and I need to see things. But like I said about the newsroom mentality, it's an approach. We're not talking about building an entirely different team that's now running a newsroom and you got to buy a bunch of journalists, and it's not about that. It's about bringing people together. It's about being collaborative and scalable. If you have started a newsroom, I'm assuming yours probably looks a little like this. How many of you have a newsroom approach or a newsroom in your company now? Okay, so not many of you, but a few of you do it. So I'd love to hear how yours is different in the Q&A or after. But there's two things about this picture that I think is pretty remarkable, and this is where I'm going to go. And the little things, I like to sweat the little things. It's a bad picture because it's all men and it's all white men, and we've come a long way, thank God. But there's a couple of things in this picture that I really like. Does anyone here notice anything that's actually useful in this picture? Yeah? It's an open floor plan? That's interesting. And that what does that breed? That's right. You've got people actually connecting. And how often do we work all day long? We go to our offices and we plug into our Outlook and we start getting on the horn and having conference calls. You don't even have to go to work for that, right? Are we connecting enough as human beings? And that's what I think the newsroom can do for us. Let's connect. Let's make it simple. You know, the whole exercise of simplifying things was really beneficial for me. So let's make it simple. And I think about the publishing mindset today. I want you guys to think about that publishing mindset as well. There's certain tenets to good publishing that we can all use to make sure that we're elevating our content. So here's a slide which I think helps explain an approach on newsrooms. Basically, we all have to work really hard at sourcing the content that we select to deliver to our customers, to our employees who are delivering to customers if you're B2B, and to our own employees, the people who work at the company. We might identify content that is existing in another area of your company. You might find it through content that you're creating on your own or what your agency partner is creating for you. You're going to look at your media partners a lot differently in the future. If you aren't already, they're going to be creating and sourcing content for you, right? I hope you guys are thinking about that. There's company-wide programs that can, if you have a large company like mine, even if you have a small company, that creates bursts of content. You know, so there might be a white paper, for example, and there's been sessions on how to maximize your content by modularizing white papers and things like that. I know you're all doing that. But you've got your sourcing, and you've got to identify what your key sources are. What we do is we take the sourcing, and then we create a twice-a-week moment called our newsroom moments. They're sometimes a half hour, sometimes an hour long, so they're short. And we bring in all of the people you see in the newsroom area, our agencies, our digital social teams, our content teams, the legal teams, and our PR and comms teams. And we usually ask for one representative, not more, to join this call. We have one leader. That leader is typically a content team representative, and it can also be an agency person. I always like it to be an agency person because they add a level of objectivity. And what we do is we look at what we've just published, what we're going to publish that week, and what we plan on publishing the week after. And we do that against a grid that highlights trending topics, vacation days, holidays, seasonal events, back to school, rapid response when the market blips. If you're in investing, that really matters to people. If you're seeing some kind of weather pattern, like a drought, that's going to affect people. How do you talk about sustainability without connecting it to people's everyday lives? That's a really important thing that a newsroom can help you do. The bottom two are your business objectives. You should always have those in mind. And any kind of customer goals. You're going to hear a lot. You haven't already. If you're here for the next day, you're going to hear a lot about customer journeys and personas. That's what I'm talking about there. It's a conversation. It's a conversation that starts with how did we do? We have some success metrics that I'll talk about later. It's what are the holidays? Where do we want to be? How are we going to place that in all of our channels on the right? And we all have pretty much the same channels. And based on the performance and where you are, you're meeting to talk about the placement of that content. It's really a scatter opportunity for you to use a newsroom to deliver to, you can start in social, that's what we did. We started with Twitter and our LinkedIn handles in the investment group, but everyone started saying, well, why can't we use this for our own properties? Why can't we make some moves on our websites? Why can't this have an impact on some of our internal channels for our sales team to be able to identify key things to push out? And so now all of our channels are discussed in our newsroom experience. So it's an approach.